he was an amazing person. I think he, in many ways, a Renaissance man, a Renaissance personality, because he was very, very well educated. He had a Phi Beta Kappa from Rutgers and a degree from Columbia, but he knew his way in the arts and had all these wonderful connections, but also was dedicated. Ever since his years in Britain, he was dedicated to the cause of humanity. And this you could sense in his whole existence. And I was lucky enough, never lucky enough to meet him really, except once just to shake hands, but I was present at many of his appearances and always overwhelmed by this sense of purpose, dedication, belief in human beings, also in socialism, which he was dedicated to, which is what brought him trouble then in the McCarthy era, terrible trouble. In 1949 is when it really hit hard, because he remained close to the Soviet friendship to the Soviet Union and to this question of peace between USA and the Soviet Union, which was okay during the war when they were allies. But by 1949, it was completely taboo. I also sensed it. And that's when they cut down everything he could possibly do. No more films with him, no more records except on a very tiny private basis, no more concert appearances except in some little black churches, and even then they tried to stop them. They threatened them with their closing down financially, taking away his passport, because he was still greatly admired in other countries and demanded. Even Nehru of India tried to help get him free, get his passport. In England, it was concentrated because that's where he had his closest ties. It finally succeeded. Oh, I should mention, before he got this passport, they had the idea, which was very new in those years. He had a telephone concert from New York to London, in which he spoke and sang per telephone. Then also he did a second one with the Welsh miners, with whom he was always in close contact. And this was a very remarkable event, which basically put the United States State Department in an embarrassing position. They looked silly that they were stopping him from going there. And this helped him, not only him, others too, but helped him. He was the main figure in getting his passport back in 1958, which is when he went to England then with his wife and performed Othello for the third time. The first time was in England in 1930. The second time was on Broadway, which I was lucky enough to see, with about a 20-minute ovation afterwards. It was considered the biggest Shakespeare success on Broadway in the century. And it was also a sensation because perhaps for the first time, a black actor kissed a white actress in the Othello. This meant they couldn't go to the South, but they toured other parts of the country. But and then he did the third performance in Stratford, where we got the costume.
Got the custom.
We got this costume,
Costume, yeah, right.
the costume from that last performance. Then he kept traveling then after 58 as far as Australia and New Zealand. But then he became extremely ill, and the treatment was probably wrong, possibly purposely. His son believed that he was poisoned by the CIA. The reason he suggested was he was due to give a concert in Cuba in 1961, the spring of 1961. And the CIA and the US government were planning their Bay of Pigs invasion of Cuba for April of 61. And they didn't want to have Paul Robeson getting mixed up in their invasion. And this Paul Robeson Jr. felt might have been behind their poisoning of him, which almost killed him, but kept him extremely ill for a long, long time. And although he had one comeback, it was short-lived. It really ended his career.